Yeah, so the stream is starting, and then I might as well start the actual Zoom recording, which is just a backup of in case the stream blows up. So here that goes.
Okay. Although we probably should have waited to start the recording until.
Yeah, well, yeah, you should have said something, but it's too late now.
I'm
uh,
aware.
um, but remember Ann Batiza? I don't know if I said this already. We did 2 trims. A trim, I think, is a video editing term for chopping at the beginning or chopping at the end. And then we did 2 splits and we staged them. So we did 4 separate video edits and then we committed the edit and it worked perfectly. I've always done it one step. The problem with doing it one step at a time is every time you save the video, YouTube's got to go through and look at every single frame for copyright violations.
Yes, and the occasional white supremacy.
Well, they found a copyright violation in my Juneteenth video. There was a song playing, and
Oh.
YouTube identified who did the song, and they put in the timestamp start and the timestamp end, and they said you can't monetize this video unless you snip this portion out. That's the first time that ever happened. It was pretty interesting.
Fortunately, we forego forwent all of the billions that we would have made by selling that video.
4 people watching the video. Yeah.
I should probably start sharing the agenda at least.
Right.
While we wait for other folks to arrive. And okay, so it's that one. But it's that. There we go.
You gonna share your screen?
Oh, it's not happening yet. Okay. Let's see what's going
on. Is it in the usual location on
oh, there.
The G drive?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So there's that.
Great. Yeah, and I suppose I should always check and see if the stream is actually working. I think
Morning, Bill.
Morning.
Morning, Bill.
We're missing some people.
I think it's still the summer 4th of July shadow thing going on.
That could well be. Greg is at his niece's wedding, so
I didn't know he wasn't going to be here.
Yeah, I will be chairing.
Well, I have 2 things today. I have a meeting at 12, and then I have a out-of-town event right after that. So I can only be on the call for about an hour.
Okay.
Did anybody else say they were coming?
I haven't. I
didn't
really get any messages. Yeah.
I talked to Barb a couple days ago, and she's still up north, at her cottage. But we had a video meeting, and she made some reference to this meeting. I don't know if she's going to make it or not.
So I'm checking to see if there's anything that we should probably move up. Billsby here.
Why don't we just wait a couple minutes, see who shows up? And since there's only, three of us and a guest, I suggest we pick out the items that we actually need to discuss and move on. And get the meeting done in a reasonable time frame.
I think sounds like a plan.
We're not obligated to stay here 2 hours, just because we do sometimes.
Right.
It is summer.
It is summer, and
I like the plan.
And we all have lots of meetings to do.
Yes. So I will call us to order at 10:35. Somebody can somebody watch time for us? As far as limits, we've got, there's not a whole bunch of stuff here, so.
Oh, I should make you a co-host in case.
Oh, here's Barbara. Hi, Barbara.
Hi.
Morning, Barbara.
We were just noting, Barbara, that there's 4 of us and a guest today. We seem to be affected by the summer scenario of enjoying the summer. So I can only stay for about an hour. And I just suggested that we select out the points that we really need to discuss and take action on, and hear from our guests and get through our business in a reasonable time frame.
Sounds good to me.
Your game, huh?
And it's 10:35. So note I have updated the link to the June recording. Everything's available at the Wisconsin Green Party YouTube channel, which I highly recommend. So let's see. Have a read of the Green Party news. This is actually pretty good stuff here. Both the action of the European Parliament and what the Greens said. I'm going to dispense with the reading of the annual goals, which I think we're all quite familiar with.
Barbara Stack.
Barbara.
In case you hadn't seen the news that I sent yesterday, we have more good news in the Green Party. Arkansas has secured their ballot access for 2024. which is awesome. And so that ought to be noted as well. Pass.
Absolutely. Oh, which brings me to the question of minute. Does somebody want to take minutes? Since our secretary is not present.
I can, I guess I can annotate the agenda. Yeah.
Yes, please do.
Okay. All right.
Okay, yes, and that's excellent news. Thank you, Barbara. So we continue to make progress towards our goals. Is there anything that anyone wants to highlight specifically as far as taking on goals? But we'll also have time for committee reports. Folks have seen the co-chair report, looking at the agenda. And folks have also seen the minutes of the June meeting, which also went out to the list a couple of weeks ago. I haven't seen any additions or corrections. Is there a proposal to approve the minutes from June?
So moved.
Tom Sack, you need to give me right access. I don't understand why, but whatever.
Oh, I can do that.
All right.
I have to hide you now.
I think you should have gotten an email from me.
Okay, we are going to make you an editor. I don't think that's particularly dangerous.
No, yeah, the permissions usually cause a lot more problems than they solve, but okay.
You should now be an editor.
Okay. Yeah, I think I am. Just having another problem now, but whatever.
God. Is there any objection to approving the minutes from June? Hearing none. The treasurer's report, I believe that is updated for June. We have $670.68 in savings and $581.45 in checking. As always, make sure that you drop a contribution to the treasurers, since we are not passing the magic hat anymore. Hopefully soon. Membership committee report. This is current as far as I know. And I think that makes all of us eligible to vote. Good for us. Tom, anything exciting to report on IT social media?
Well, not exciting, but it's maybe meaningful. Let's see. Okay, I'm unmuted. Yes. So Curtis and I have put in considerable chunk of time. I would say, like between probably like 8 man hours, getting the spreadsheet from Patty into Nation Builder. And we've done like multiple sweeps through the spreadsheet. And I think we have a method of capturing all the data that's in the spreadsheet. I think into Nation Builder, and we probably need to do an hour and a half more like touch-up work, and then we'll be done. And I showed Curtis how to create address labels, or a mailing list from that. And don't get too excited though, it's only like, I don't know, 60, 70 rows. It just takes time, so that, other than that, I'm not prepared. I know I did other work, but I didn't write it down, so my report's done.
Thanks, Tom. Any discussion on the IT social media report? Great job, Tom, and thank Curtis.
Sure. Oh, I did. Yeah, sorry. Now it's come out of my mouth. I wanted to thank you, Mike. You apparently gave me the admin rights I need to work on that, the wiki at the state level. So just acknowledging that's helpful, and I want to coordinate that with you. Offline, I may want to talk to you about that. Pass.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Elections, Barbara, you want to expand on what we've got here, or take it away?
Yeah, I think that some of this is kind of from my report last month, which is fine. A lot of the stuff is ongoing. And especially through the summer, we have very low attendance at meetings, and it's an off season for elections. We don't have another petitioning period until December, and that's for the spring elections. So, these things kind of are slow going, but we are working to, prepare a lot of different things that when it comes time to petitioning next year, when it comes time to those really intense crunch periods, that we have less work to do and, can do it more easily. So I want to thank Tom particularly for spending some time on the state petition. That is just whatever the Wisconsin Election Commission has on hand for candidates. They have just a general one, but if we are putting together a state slate, if we're putting together multiple candidates on a single petition, or if we just like to have nice information from people like phone numbers and email addresses, which don't come on the standard petition form, these are things that we have to add ourselves. So Tom has been working on creating one that is much better equipped for our needs, rather than having to maybe go and fill out 4 whole petition papers for one state slate, which is way too labor intensive. So we're working on that. We are working on our priority to do some voter outreach about voter suppression. And last month we had started a document of ideas that we might put in a flyer for door knocking or other kinds of outreach methods. And we just kind of reviewed that this month, and we will keep working on it. And I mean, not a whole lot is going on with our the ongoing stuff in West Dallas this month, but hopefully I'll have something to report next month on that as well. And there has been no advancement or change in this relationship that we started with this independent candidate who wanted our endorsement, but I told him flat out that we're not going to endorse an independent candidate who won't join our party and also wants the Libertarians' endorsement. We have to get our party line. We need a party line on the ballot, and we can't just give up our party line because this person wants to run as an independent. So if they want to run as a Green, great, and adopt the Green platform. If they want to run as a Libertarian, that's up to them. But we can't just willy-nilly endorse anybody who feels like they're somewhat green, but don't want to give anything back to the party and bolster the party as something that we can build on statewide once that election is over. Their entire organization disappears if they're independent. So we are working on candidate recruitment. We need a lot of candidates. We need volunteers. So consider this a call to action that we always need more people with the elections committee. Thanks.
Any discussion on the elections committee report? Nothing for us to act on. Thanks so much, Barbara, for continuing this. And yeah, I'll stop there. Outreach, we did not meet this month, but the research project continues. I'm still working on the apologies for the telephone. Continue to read the state task force on fighting the climate crisis, and we will try again next month. Our standard volunteer job openings, we can still use folk. We are still looking for a media representative who can talk to media and produce press releases and do all those things that political parties do. Still looking for that. And we are always looking for blog posts for MilwaukeeGreens.org. And also a social media coordinator. Go talk to Tom. Go talk to Greg for the media and social media positions, and Tom for if you want to write a blog post, it's real easy to do, and we'll cart you right through it. I can also help anybody who wants to, who would like to be in the role of local media rep, because I've done that. So that's our plug. And now, okay, and we have gotten through the organizational business. That's wonderful. And I told Brian to come back, that we typically had our educational on at 11 o'clock. So Brian, we're actually ready for you. We blew through our agenda quite quickly. So Brian the last couple of months we had been talking about the People's Power Summit, which happened up north on the day of our last GMGP meeting, and we asked Brian to give us a report on that. So take it away.
There we go. Unmute. That's important. Okay. My name is, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Brian Pfeiffer. Been a activist off and on in Wisconsin for a while. I first became active in Manitowoc, and then been around the country doing union and community organizing, and always been in touch with folks in Wisconsin, especially after Act 10 in 2011. So thanks a lot for asking us to come on here today. We formed Wisconsin Bailout the People movement about 10 years ago. This summer's our 10-year anniversary, and when we formed that was done specifically after Act 10 was passed and implemented to keep a class struggle, anti-racist, and totally independent people's organization on the ground. And what we mean by independent is political and organizational independence. That is not influenced or directed by nonprofits.
Bill, you're on twice.
Yeah. You good? It's okay. Bill, you're there twice. That's great. We need more power. That's good. We can all multiply. That'd be fantastic. So essentially, the People's Power Summit, just to give you a little background, of course, we all know we've been active in Wisconsin, that in our view and our assessments that we've done and our work on the ground across the state in multiple arenas over the past 10 years, we've been involved in pretty much every independent people's struggle, from union to community organizations to immigrant rights. That one of the focuses, of course, of the rich in Wisconsin was not only for the austerity, and our estimate is probably 30 billion with a B minimum, just in the austerity and public sector unionization in Act 10. Every public sector worker is getting wage cuts of a minimum of 10% a year. And one of the big focuses was to wipe out working class organization or reduce it to not being effective. So, and that can go in a variety of different ways. We're seeing, things like the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, which is funded by the Bradley Foundation, which was, of course, behind this austerity since 1985, and the charter schools and welfare so-called reform in the 90s. And that after 2011, there's been a lot of consolidation for Wall Street forces in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty has been a big part of that. And that essentially has been to attack public school districts through FOIA requests, to come up with cases to go to the Supreme Court, and a variety of other mechanisms. And then on top of that, we saw that the right has also started to establish itself beyond just rhetoric, but actually have physical buildings in place, such as the Americans for Prosperity now has offices in Wausau and Sheboygan. And there's also a variety of other right-wing organizations that now not only have speakers visiting cities, but also have physical infrastructure in place. So we felt this was extremely, a very challenging situation. But on the flip side, there has been a lot of great organizing happening in Wisconsin. And the Black Lives Matter protests last summer and fall, which we assessed as far as I've been active, and many others that have been involved for a while in Wisconsin, we haven't seen that type of demonstrations or protests in a long time, potentially since the 60s, if not, even maybe even the 30s. So there was a lot of wonderful activity happening with that. But one of the things that we also assessed was that a lot of that, like has happened in Wisconsin, was of a defensive character, responding to police brutality or the police murdering people, or response to the austerity. And that part of the problem with those protests was that when they were going back to their cities, there was very little infrastructure to develop and build in a real working class fighting way. That wasn't controlled by corporate interest or nonprofit industrial complex, et cetera. So we felt that there was a lot of potential, but what was really necessary in this period and going forward is to build working class infrastructure where we could actually fight effectively and to build our power. And not only in cities like Milwaukee and Madison, where it's also challenging, but also in rural and semi-rural areas in particular. And Wisconsin, of course, has a long legacy of that. We wanted to resurrect that, especially in northeastern Wisconsin, the big history with unions and farmers in particular. So we decided to have the People's Power Summit at a farm in Maribel at a Wisconsin Farmers Union farm with this background. And there's a lot more to it. And I put more, one of the articles in the chat, and we'll have more videos online and stuff like that as we get all of that done. So we decided to see what the thinking was around having a People's Power Summit. So we did a lot of one-on-one conversations in February, and then in March 8th, and we did that specifically. Our first meeting was on March 8th, International Women's Day. and we had a Zoom meeting of folks from all over the country, and we actually had somebody from Venezuela as well, and others. And we decided to move forward, and we knew that in 3 months this was going to be a heck of a project and a lot of organizing, but the period that we were in demanded it, especially in Wisconsin. So we got to work, and we had outreach activities in Manitowoc and Sheboygan, and around the target areas were, Door County, northeastern Wisconsin, Sheboygan, Ozaukee County, Oshkosh, etc. And we did that specifically to let the right wing know that we were not going to let them just take over our spaces, which has historically been quite progressive in these areas, and both politically and also spatially. So we went out and did outreach events and had a lot of Zoom meetings. And we specifically also had our friends from Virginia come here, because part of the Bradley Foundation and right-wing approach in Wisconsin was to bring even more Southern methods to the state. For example, Art Pope is the chair of the Bradley Foundation now, and he's from North Carolina. So there we intentionally and tactically brought our Southern friends up here as well, and had them as part of the organizing, and women and people of color, of course, as part of the leadership team leading up to the summit. So that was really intentional. And at the summit, we had, we were taking on questions in a very popular way, but what we saw as some of the serious problems that are happening in Wisconsin, really around the country. For example, taking on constantly reacting in a defensive way. So the summit was to take a step back and assess where we were at, and do it in a way to be political, of course, but also use cultural components to raise the questions that needed to be raised. And so we raised items around the question of, how do we go from defensive to offensive tactics and strategies? How do we have a real people's program that's internationalist, that's not chauvinist? How do we talk to labor in terms of the fact that they are not going anywhere, organized labor, without an internationalist approach and supporting Black Lives Matter, and really having going beyond the traditional, some of the organizing tactics that have done in labor, such as lobbying and voting and collective bargaining, and going way beyond that to be effective. So we had talks that range from raising questions of a variety of different things, but especially rooted in independence. And we had the count at the end was, I think we had folks there from 35 counties in Wisconsin, from 15 states, 4 different indigenous nations, and people from 7 different states. And our keynote speakers were of a variety of different topics. But we felt that throughout the weekend, we gave out a lot of literature, and a lot of our talks really addressed some of these issues that we're dealing with in terms of austerity and fighting racism, and also raising, of course, the indigenous nations. And we also were very intentional about having the Wisconsin Farmers Union and the Family Farm Defenders being involved to make those connections as well. And those of you here know that one of the greatest crimes that the rich has done is taken and stolen our history to a great degree. So we really wanted to raise that up. And in particular, in this area, one could make, in my view, a very strong argument that none of the manufacturing unions in particular would have existed in the 30s or the 60s without the farmers in these areas and the connections that were made. And that history has largely been, really liquidated or muted to a great degree. So we had farmers really talk about that at the summit, and how that this area has not been a right-wing bastion historically. In fact, it's been a progressive and even revolutionary activity has happened in this area, and there has been a lot of connections. And also doing that as a polemic against, unfortunately, some of the white workers who have been bamboozled and hoodwinked to think that Black and brown workers are their enemies. So, for example, informing them that UAW Local 833 in Sheboygan, for example, probably would not be in existence without Black workers, especially in steel, and the auto workers, and many other Black and brown workers helping with strikes over the years. And it's a national union that's multinational, et cetera. So we were able to, help a lot of that. So that was a challenge. We didn't have much participation from organized labor, although we did a lot of outreach. But we did have some individual, very important union members there, and we're working on those relationships moving forward. So in a great degree, this was, the People's Power Summit was experimental in some respects, but we feel that really in a state like Wisconsin, with the austerity and the way that the rich have been able to, really destroy a lot of our working class infrastructure, also as well as shred a lot of the state statutes and wins that we have won over the years, that really this approach right now is really the only way to really be effective. And there has been a lot of great work, of course, in Wisconsin in unity and solidarity. But we really feel that we put a model here on the map to really study. And maybe, of course, there's probably maybe some errors that have been made, but we think that overall the assessment of those who participated and were in the leadership of the summit were that this is really a potential model to move forward. And the components of it that I think the general consensus of those who are real fighters, class struggle fighters, class combat fighters, are that, are the main components have to be moving forward, complete independence, and imbuing our program with an internationalist, non-chauvinist approach, and really putting a program forward and demands forward, and really having youth and students, of course, were a part of this summit as well, and that was very important. Really making the connections between this generation and the generation that has come from, the 30s and the 60s, and really some serious struggles in Wisconsin, and legacy that we have here. Before some of our elders and predecessors pass on, making sure that we do history classes and things like that to pass on our real class struggle history that we've had here in Wisconsin. And of course, bringing the farmers into that equation as well. So there was a lot to it. There's a lot to study. I can't talk about all of it, of course, with the limited time, but we feel that we really made some serious contributions, and we hope to continue to move forward. We never, of course, want to leave an organizing situation without some momentum. So we did form an MLK Day Manitowoc committee back in January, and we are going to have an MLK Day Manitowoc celebratory weekend, January of 2022. And there's an MLK Day Manitowoc page, and we do have co-chairs. We had a meeting on June 27th. Our next one is July 18th, and that is to, essentially have a series of educational events that are really kind of imbued in Dr. King and Mrs. King's history. And we will have our next meeting on July 18th to figure out how we're going to move forward. And I can't emphasize, in some respects, in this area, Manitowoc and in northeastern Wisconsin, the right has really been able to make a lot of inroads. But one of the things we've learned in the summit work was that there is a lot of folks who have thousands, if not tens of thousands, who have a lot of experience in unions and organizing. And we feel that if we get to them with an issue-based program, and we have the conversations that can be done in a workers type conversation, imbuing anti-racism with that, we can win over a lot of these workers and do it in a careful, sophisticated, but strong way. And that's one of the reasons we're moving forward with the MLK Day committee. So from August until December, we'll be having a lot of activities with that committee. And we'd be happy to work with the Greens and anybody else who wants to fight and build unity and solidarity and really move forward in a struggle-oriented way. So that's that's where we're at, and I'll leave it there. I'm more than happy to discuss anything here or individually moving forward. There's a lot of great folks up here willing to do a lot of great activities moving forward. So we think that we're poised to see what we can do. We're not under any illusions or naive. We understand what we're up against here, but we do feel there's a lot of potential, and for this summer and fall to see where we can go. So I'll just leave it there. So thanks a lot.
Questions or comments? Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, Tom Stack.
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
So yeah, I've got a number of questions, but I think probably a core question would be like, I have a feeling we could learn a lot from you about organizing skills. and your website and so forth. So I would like to talk to you, because yeah, I think I've always gone to that Bail Out the People website just to find out what's going on. It usually is up to date. So that's a question. And then I wanted to get another idea. Again, you said northeastern Wisconsin. So which city are you in? And then could you just sort of go over like maybe some of the core skills that you have that you think, we should learn from you? Pass.
Okay. Yeah. So our blog, Wisconsin Bail Out the People movement. We knew when we formed it because we're totally independent and we're in Wisconsin and it's pretty tough here in some respects. That we are funded only by ourselves, by workers' blood, sweat, and tears. And that causes complications, but we feel that that's one of the reasons why we've been able to stay alive for 10 years, and we've never given up our independence in terms of programmatically or organizationally. And but we've been very friendly and open to organizations. So essentially, our approach is that anybody that is a fighting people's organization that is independent, we will assist and help promote them. And that's really been our focus, is really keeping unity and solidarity at the forefront, and really respecting self-determination and autonomy of individual organizations, but really projecting that out. So that's really what our blog and our Facebook page, our real spirit of it is. And yeah, we really think that we take the approach that there is a couple organizations, and we don't engage in a lot of public critiques about this. But since we've been friends with the Greens for a long time, I will say that our approach is, we always ask ourselves the question, is this going to help our class? Are we just going to build our organization at the expense of our class? Right? So that's been our approach with Bail Out the People, is that, okay, great, we got 50 new members, but we're getting killed. Our class is just getting slaughtered, right? And so that's the approach that we've taken, is that we probably at certain points could have built ourselves into a bigger organization or done certain things, but there were many points along the way where we made sacrifices to ensure that other organizations might have been able to build or do what they needed to do, and using our resources to do that, especially youth and students and people of color in particular. The other question is, yeah. So I mean, the People's Power Summit, we had an approach that our target area specifically was, Manitowoc, Green Bay, Oshkosh, Appleton, Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, and Ozaukee County. Of course, we wanted to go way beyond that, and we had a lot of people from, beyond that, Milwaukee, Madison, and around the country. But we really felt that these areas were really important because, you can't really quantify or scientifically study like hope or psychological warfare, but we felt it was extremely important to back up the right wing in these areas, because they have become so emboldened, as we all know, in Wisconsin with Act 10, right to work, and all the things that they have done, that they are completely wild and completely insane, as we know, the right wing, especially in the legislature. So we felt that we needed to back them up and let them know that, no, you're not going to have these spaces entirely, number one, spatially, and you're not going to have these spaces psychologically. You're not going to continue to just ram down the throats of our fellow workers all this right-wing, racist, anti-worker nonsense. So that was really a huge part of this. And then the other part, of course, is to inject hope in people, because in Wisconsin, with all of this austerity, a lot of people have been really demoralized, and they have been beaten down so much that they didn't think, well, we tried this, we tried that didn't work. Is this really going to work? So part of the 3 months leading up to it was having outreach events and taking space and going out there on street corners and saying, it's not only the right wing out here, we're out here too. We have a lot of wonderful things to say as well. We have a fighting program, and we're not going to allow the right wing maniacs to take over these spaces. First of all, we built these places, like especially Manitowoc and Sheboygan. I mean, if it wasn't for union workers in 75 years, these cities wouldn't be anywhere near where they are, even with all the austerity. So, just having that faith and that confidence in ourselves and our fellow workers that, we're not just going to take this stuff lying down. And I think that really helped like build confidence in people as we move forward, right? And at the summit, that wow, this isn't a farmer's field, number one, and that was a little, bit, to get people past, like, yeah, we're going to have this in a farmer's field, and we're going to be safe, and we're going to be secure, and we're going to have faith in ourselves, and we're going to do this ourselves. And we did, from everything to food and service to music to cultural to sound, everything was done from workers. It was all free labor, and we all built it, and people saw that, and I think they were really inspired by that, actually. And so I think we were able to inject a lot of hope in people that we're still getting beat up pretty good in Wisconsin, but there's a lot of good things happening. A lot of people are doing a lot of good stuff, and we laid the basis for some hope in these areas that there's a lot of us out here that think the same, and let's get together and do something together, even though we might have different organizations. At least we're all kind of on the same wavelength, and the rich definitely unite, right? When capitalism is in peril, they might have different factional differences, but they unite. And Wisconsin is an example of that.
Can you, if I wanted to find out, I mean, you're one face, and then you have the website, but if I wanted, I know I didn't make the People's Power Summit, I almost went, but what would be an event where I could see who the we is behind the you? Is it mostly like how many people are working on the website? How many? Do you have monthly meetings as an organization? Can you describe a little bit of the structure of your organization?
Yeah. Well, again, from the beginning, we kind of taken the approach that, and this is all dependent upon capacity and resources that we've had over the years. And so again, we have kind of always viewed ourselves and operated in the fashion of being in unity and solidarity with a lot of other different independent organizations in the state and beyond Wisconsin. So essentially, for the People's Power Summit, for example, we and it fluctuates depending on the periods and depending upon what's happening. So for the People's Power Summit, for example, our members, as well as many others in Northeastern Wisconsin and beyond, we're having weekly Zoom meetings, and we set up a leadership structure in that we had a coordinating committee, and that essentially was the requirements of that were somewhat flexible, but generally attending the weekly Zoom meetings and being responsible for various different kinds of leadership functions. And then we had we call them working groups, and a chair and a co-chair for the working groups, such as food or such as whatever the task was, cultural, that one of those chairs would report to the coordinating committee on what was actually taking place in that working group, so we could move forward in case there's any challenges or help or assistance that was needed. The coordinating committee could step in, which we did at various times when help was needed for the working groups. So that's just one example of what kind of the organizational structure we've used over the years. We've also had at times, steering committees of leadership, but generally we have worked with a lot of other organizations to really help and develop and build behind the scenes, like help them build organizational infrastructure, or assist with placard making or banner making, or whatever the activity might be needed, social media, with a lot of our skilled members, not only in Wisconsin, but around, the country, that could kind of back up folks in Wisconsin as well. So essentially, kind of being a connector and a hub of progressive thought and action has really been our focus.
Brian, we're out of time at this point for this point. Were any of the sessions recorded, or is any material from the summit published anywhere?
Yeah, so you can go. We actually did a lot of social media work, so I'm gonna post in the chat the MLK Day Manitowoc page, and if you go to the events on there, there's the People's Power Summit event page, and we have all kinds of stuff on there, and then on the website as well. And we think the People's Power Summit event pages, a real study on how to do an event like this. Just one link.
Appreciate. Please keep us posted on your plans going forward, whether there will be a second summit somewhere down the road. I think we'd be interested.
Quick interrupt. So Brian, the Zoom fault, you posted that link just to me. So you might want to repost it to the group in the chat.
Okay.
Thanks.
Many thanks, Brian. You're welcome to hang on, but if you have a life to continue, that's okay too. So announcements, a bunch of stuff here. I want to, I've I pulled up all the links in the announcement section. So I want to call folks' attention. Back in, I believe it was May, we got formally endorsed this series of car and bike caravans on Cuba. And the next one is on Sunday, July 25th. They're going to be, they're settling on the last Sunday of the month. This is going to be an ongoing process. It starts at the Mitchell Park Domes, and it'd be really great if we could get a bunch of Greens present there for these events and get the word out, because we're co-sponsors. And Tom went to, besides Tom went to Juneteenth last month? Did anyone want to give a report on what they saw?
I mean, I could quickly. So yeah, I had never been. It was incredible. I think there was at least 5,000 people, and I did a video, and Greg and I are planning to edit the video, and we made probably the most significant thing was the Black Manifesto on Education. There's a document, and we've got somewhere I could dig it out. It's a PDF, and we did make some actual contacts. There's a woman that I talked to for a half an hour afterwards. She was involved in that Black Manifesto. So those are the high points. I think the videos will kind of explain themselves once we get them edited, and we'll try to promote them with hashtags. They're there on the website. You have to look for them though. Pass.
I think they're right here.
Oh, you got a link? Cool. Okay.
So let's see. So in calling folks' attentions to the, we have talked more than once about the Poor People's Campaign. They are having a march on Washington next March on that's focused on what they call the third Reconstruction, which looks quite interesting. And let's see, did I get that posted here? I missed that one. Okay, but it's thirdreconstruction.org. Number 3 RD reconstruction.org. Let's see. Oh, and we also, and Tom and I were also at the Julian Assange event with a couple of family members, and that was a very interesting talk. Got some coverage on WUWM the following Monday. So we'll report. So there's that report. Again,
Barbara Stack.
Barbara.
For coalition updates, I represented us at the Poor People's Army. They've started up their monthly meetings again all across the country by Zoom. So the Poor People's Army is definitely growing. It's not only the little Philadelphia chapter that Sherry started, but there's groups in California and in the Midwest, in the South. Some of these groups are working on primarily Black Lives Matter types of issues with police violence. There are some groups that are even across the globe in countries that, you know, we have imperialism going on actively, and the people's movement is really growing there as well. So it's always really encouraging to go to those. And if anybody is interested in tagging along with me sometime, I'd be happy to, you know, have them join me as well and grow this movement. Last month, there was a talk about pretty much how to keep the movement from being co-opted by the nonprofit industrial complex, the two-party system, and other moneyed interests, which was fantastic. That everybody's keeping their eye on this very important issue, because as we know, many of the movements that we interact with a lot, including Black Lives Matter and others, they have some very big money interests behind their nonprofit organizations, and that can definitely hamper the movement itself. So really great session that we had. And also I posted the link to the Poor People's Army. They just had a press release about Sherry Honkala, who's the founder. She's suing the Housing and Urban Development, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, over several houses in the area of Philadelphia that are government owned and empty, that they've put people in that they're trying to evict people out of during the pandemic. So, you know, HUD isn't putting people in these houses. They just decided to take them over. They're public houses, and the government wants to evict these people anyway. So it was really exciting to hear this news. They've been making a lot of media rounds lately, so it's just really exciting. Pass.
Thanks, Barb. Tom.
Barb? Yeah, thanks. So how does that work? Are you meeting like once a month? Is it a Zoom meeting?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Oh, and then if we wanted to find out about it, the main website is thepeoplesarmy.com. Okay, pass.
Any other coalition updates or further discussion? Seeing none.
I had a question, Mike.
Bill.
You got the message on the Medicare for All March on July 24th. Is there a separate point on that, or would that fit in here?
That would fit in here. I don't think I got that, but or at least I missed it.
Dave Schwab sent a text today, and I thought some people. I didn't think it was just to me. Did others get that?
Yeah, I acknowledged it just about around 10 o'clock or so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he had contacted me a a couple days earlier and asked if we would, I think, endorse the march. I'm not exactly sure who's sponsoring it. Maybe Brian knows. It's on July 24th, and the Four Lakes Greens have voted at their meeting to organize a sister march in Madison on the 24th as well. I did. Dave encouraged me to go to the Facebook or webpage, and I found it, and I didn't get a chance to look into it to see who the initiators of it are, but I think it's certainly something that we should endorse and encourage people to get involved in. Pass.
Can you copy that link for us?
Oh, I don't know how to do that stuff. Someone when I was trying to do links before, that's how two Bill Bryan showed up on the because every time I try to get out of our meeting and go to links and so on, I end up losing the meeting. So if someone can find that and post it, that would be nice.
Yes,
Pardon me for
unfortunately,
my limited skill sets.
understood. Yeah, my phone's upstairs, so
I'll be on the
I
stack
think-
for this.
I think I found it.
okay.
I'll put it in the chat.
Barbara.
I got an email about a Medicare for All march from the this new People's Party. So I think that there might be some leaders from the People's Party trying to make this happen as well. Dave was saying that the Greens should definitely be out in front of this since it was ours to begin with, and not let other parties, especially not the Democratic Party, take advantage of the movement that they've been, crushing this whole time, and just like have it in name only. And certainly if the People's Party isn't going to have any candidates or any political power behind their organizing, certainly we still need to be out there as the political option for people to actually get this in motion, because we've been working on this for decades, and have been out in the front of it. So to continue that, to stay out in front of it is really important. And I would totally endorse us continuing to do that as well. Pass.
Okay, thanks, Tom, for that link. It should be showing up on your screens right now. Let's take a look at the coalition members. The Washington State Party, PNHP, and it looks Chicago DSA. So sounds like a reasonable. So is there a march in Milwaukee? Does anyone know?
Yes. My understanding that there's a march in Milwaukee on July 24th, and knowing that the Four Lakes Green Party initiated an effort to put together a similar march in Madison. So
There we are.
You got it? I wish I had more detail.
Okay. Is there a motion, a proposal? Saturday, July 24th, 11 a.m. At McKinley Park, or at McKinley Beach on Lincoln Memorial. So it's right on the lakefront. That's 2 weeks from today.
I make a motion we endorse and encourage our members and supporters to participate.
Is there a second?
Sure.
Any discussion? Sounds good to me. Is there anyone with blocking concerns to supporting the March for Medicare for All in Milwaukee? Anyone wish to stand aside? I believe we have consensus. I'll try and get this on, find more stuff, get it shared on the Facebook page. Maybe we should try and get something up on the website and do all of our usual, whatever we can to build this thing.
Quick, Mike, I'm willing to be a Facebook admin for doing things like creating an event or, some limited involvement. So I guess if you would consider that, we can discuss that offline. Pass.
Yes, let's do that. Okay. Thanks, Bill. I was too busy getting ready for the meeting. So anything further on coalition updates? I think we're technically past our time. I wasn't paying attention. I do want to call folks' attention. Another link. This sounds like a new service, but let's see. Here it is, called Linktree, and basically it's just a place to store links about particular organizations and movements, stuff that's happening. And this got set up for the Stop Line 3 movement, which is happening in Minnesota around the pipeline. And this looks really, it's pretty straightforward. But people may who want to keep up with what's happening around that Enbridge pipeline. That's a good place to go. Okay. Does somebody have a report on the Vocis March and block party from June 20th? Did anyone go? Anyone here go? I'm going to say no. Guess no. Next point. Next weekend, starting on Thursday, is the annual national meeting of the Green Party. This is governing. This is as it suggests. It's a national gathering. It is virtual for the second year. Last time was our nominating convention. This year's theme is called Dismantling Oppression, Building Solidarity, a Green Party for Everyone. There's a whole bunch of sessions around with professional trainers and such, talking about the topic of this theme. So technically, yesterday was the deadline to register, but I imagine if you're interested in attending, the form is still up there. They ask a registration fee of $100, but there are, for those who can't afford it, there are options. Folks should go ahead and go to the A&M website. It's an excellent opportunity to interact with Greens across the country. I know folks have been. I went to the convention last year, and I think Barb, you've been to a couple of A&Ms, haven't you? Are you going?
I haven't decided yet. I may be able to make a few of the sessions. I always have it on my mind to try and go, but especially because it's online, it's not like I have to make plans super far ahead of time like usual. But I've been to one in Texas in 2016 and New Jersey, Boston, well, Salem, Massachusetts. Um, so I think I've been to 3 in person now, and it's always fantastic to meet all these organizers and really grow that that understanding that we're not alone here in little Milwaukee or in Wisconsin, that we're not an insular movement, that we have tons and tons of people who are just as passionate as we are about all this stuff, and also gain a lot of information and organizing skills and all kinds of stuff. So I definitely recommend it, especially if you haven't been before. Pass.
Any further discussion? Like I say, if you're interested in going, try to get registered over the weekend. Here, the schedule site is right here. You'll see what's happening. Yeah, I haven't made up my mind yet either. But it certainly sounds interesting. So, any further discussion on the annual national meeting? Hearing none. Let's see. Again, so outreach options. Is there anything happening besides the healthcare march where we can meet folks and do the right thing coming in the next 30 days or so? Seeing none, hearing none. Given the size of the meeting, and I'm going to propose that we defer the question of meeting with 4 Lakes, having joint meetings. We can ponder that as time goes on, and maybe take it up next in August. Any objection to postponing that discussion? We've had discussions of reparations on our agenda for the last couple of months. It's something that we want to consider as part of the anti-racist Green New Deal, and we're talking about it in the outreach committee. This was an interesting link that we found. The National Coalition of Churches for Reparations. Folks can check that out. I plan to do a whole lot more reading on the topic soon.
Barbara Stack.
Barbara.
There was a solidarity meeting I attended a while ago that had a really great reading on how reparations might be accomplished. If somebody still has the link to that or the reading, that might be something that the committee might like to see pass.
Tom Stack.
Tom.
So I give Greg Banks credit. He got me to both the Juneteenth and he got me to the Black History Museum. And at the Juneteenth day, there was some really disturbing displays of some of the like torture that was involved in slavery, and it was made really real by one of the tabling areas. And then getting to that Black History Museum, I think it was on 26th, and I'm blanking out whether it was 26th and Center, but I was very impressed. And we did talk to the director of the museum. They have quite a big space. They have a small, older museum, and then they have this huge open area, open space. So I was happy to have gone there. And then he proceeded to Greg took me to this location that had been burned. It was a burned out bank. I don't know if people are aware of that in the riots that we had a couple of years ago where they burned the police cars. And anyhow, it's kind of a happy story. They've got a store that used to be the bank vault, and it seems to be a relatively healthy group of shops. That was just, I think, up Fond du Lac a mile or so or less. But anyhow, yeah. So the Black History Museum, I suggest you guys check that out. Pass.
And a nice segue into our accomplishments and recognitions section. We want to recognize Curtis and Tom on doing the Nation Builder prep that Tom discussed earlier. And there's the Black Historical Society on Juneteenth, and working with the Cuba Committee on the car caravan and on the Julian Assange event. Thank Barb Eisenberg for keeping our finances straight, writing checks, dealing with the credit union, all those wonderful things that treasurers do. Anyone else that we need to recognize? Hearing none. Do we have any additional business that people want to raise? Our next meeting is August 14th, presumably still remote. I have not checked the library reservation system lately, but I'll do that before the summer ends. Without objection, let's do our call to action, and we'll free everyone up for a fantastic afternoon. So get your hands out. Feel free to stand up if you are so inclined. Our call to action. We believe.
We believe.
We believe
In alternative independent politics.
Alternative
Independent politics.
And active responsible government.
And active responsible government.
We believe.
We believe.
In the empowering of all citizens.
In the empowering of all citizens.
And communities to create the world we want.
And communities to create the world we want.
We offer hope.
We
offer hope.
And a call to action.
And a call to action.
Green and growing.
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 In the immortal words of Arlo Guthrie, that was horrible, guys.
We'll practice for next month.
But so, thanks everybody. Unless there's further business, Tom, let's get together this week and we can talk about whatever. I'm pretty much available most evenings.
Okay. Yeah, if Brian, if you want to stay on, I have some more questions. but up to you.
Thanks, Brian, for all you do.
And thanks, Brian, for
Yes.
joining us.
Thanks for joining us, Brian. You're welcome anytime.
See you all.
Bye.
Until next
Bye.
month. Bye all.
Take
Oh yeah, I can stop the stream thing. If I can get over there. Let's see. Okay. All right. End stream.